Here we go in three, two, one. We are live.
Folks, what is up? And welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. We are hitting y'all tonight with a live stream to celebrate, really, Austin, the fifth straight year that Tony Vitello's Tennessee baseball Volunteers have made it to the Super Regionals. They advanced from the regionals and are once again headed to the Super Regionals. And so we're celebrating that tonight, Austin, and we're going to review the games in the regional. Honestly, Austin, there were some good games in the regional. We had a lot of really entertaining games, especially kind of that last call it a series, I guess, against Wake Forest, and then we've got a big test coming up in Arkansas. Honestly, bro, it kind of seems like Arkansas and us are the only SEC teams standing after the regionals because a lot of teams dropped, but we made it once again under Tony V, man.
Yeah, no question. So the only other outside of us in Arkansas is Auburn and LSU, and LSU barely squeaked by Little Rock last night. So, or at least they were struggling for a while. Like you said, it was a fun regional. Uh, and we're headed back, dude. Headed back to the Supers for the fifth straight year under Tony Vitello. We have 7 total in our history. Now, Omaha or the NCAA tournament didn't always have super regional games. Like the super regional is relatively new, not like within, I think it's started in like maybe the 90s. Could be wrong about that. If you're a baseball expert, let us know. But that's still insane. That Tony V has 5 of the 7 in our history, and it's all consecutively as well. He's built a powerhouse, dude. There's no question about it. It's an absolute powerhouse that we have here now. And it's all because of Tony Vitello and great players along the way as well. But those great players don't come here without, of course, the great Tony V. So, and yeah, and like you said, the last 2 games with Wake Forest were very chippy, very fun. A lot of storylines coming out of those games. So yeah, man, a lot to get into in this episode.
A lot to get into for sure, and yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't get to this point as a baseball program without Tony V, and so just a lot of fun stuff, honestly, for this baseball team, and super excited to see if we can kind of get past Arkansas in the Super Regionals and make it back to Omaha. So we will talk about all of that, folks. We are going to, I'll just kind of give you guys a breakdown of the show tonight. Basically, we're going to actually start with, first and foremost, that game for Austin, because like you said, most of the headlines coming out of this weekend and the regional are coming from the Wake Forest games, and especially that second game against Wake Forest. And had a great outing, against Wake Forest in that final game to advance to the Super Regional. So we'll start with that game, especially Liam Doyle's performance. And then we will move back in time and go through games 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, we'll transition to the preview of the Arkansas series in Fayetteville in this Super Regional. So, like Austin said, a lot to get talking about tonight, folks. Again, you are here with Austin and Blake. Austin, I think this is the first episode I forgot to introduce us, but hey, look, people know who we are at this point, and of course, it's on our overlay too. So
Exactly.
they get the picture, they get the idea. They don't need an intro, but you are here with Austin and Blake, folks, and we talk all things volunteer sports. Listen, if you love volunteer sports, if you love chatting about anything and everything related to Tennessee Vols, just give us a like. We'd really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support. If you're feeling froggy, jump in the chat. We love talking with you guys on these live streams. That's why we do these live streams, because we like interacting with other Vols fans and just hanging out and again, just talking Vols. That's what this podcast and this channel is all about. So hop in the chat, but at least give us a like, throw us a subscription if you haven't already. We would really appreciate all the support you all give us. So thank you so much for that. But without further ado, Austin, we're going to hop right into the show tonight. So I'm going to quickly recap kind of what happened this weekend. So essentially, we did have to end up going to that fourth game, right? We kind of talked about the possibility of having to go to that fourth game. We did end up having to do that, but we had some pretty decent outings. So it started against Miami of Ohio on Friday night, and we beat them 9-2. So pretty easy win against the lower seeded Miami of Ohio there. And then, of course, we played Cincinnati and beat Cincinnati 10-6. And then Cincinnati and Wake Forest had to play again, and Wake Forest emerged from that. And so we played Wake Forest, and we barely lost to Wake Forest in that third game, 6-7. And then, of course, finally that fourth game that we're going to start with on Monday, yesterday, 11. We got this win against Wake Forest, 11-5. And Austin, we were talking about, again, a lot of headlines coming out of these Wake Forest games. You talked about in our last live stream that we kind of have a bit of a rivalry with Wake Forest and baseball that's kind of emerged.
Not
And so,
really, just because of the Chase Burns stuff. Like, we haven't
right.
really played them in any meaningful games. Last year, they could have played us in the Supers had they made it through their regional. They did not make it through their regional. And people were kind of anticipating that potential matchup because, of course, the Chase Burns storyline and whatnot, leaving Tennessee to go to Wake Forest. So there's been a little bit of back and forth between Wake fans and Tennessee fans. Obviously, now that we played in a regional, two kind of tough, gritty games in a regional, and it was chippy the whole time, as we'll get into with this. Specifically this last game, man. It got kind of out of hand in this last game. Some ejections, some videos, some lip reading done from certain coaches. And that's where most of the headlines come from, man. And we have to start with, I think, the storyline of our regional and maybe the storyline of the NCAA tournament. Liam Doyle, man. Liam Doyle, as you mentioned, or maybe mentioned, he started that Miami of Ohio game to get us started in this regional tournament, was phenomenal. Had over 100 pitches, Blake. Had over 100 pitches. So really no one expected him, especially with his draft stock, Blake. And that's the most fascinating part of this. Especially with his draft stock, no one expected him to pitch the rest of the regional, which is kind of understandable, right? You already put in 100+ pitch outing in the regional tournament, and you are going to be a top 5 draft pick in the MLB draft, whether your season ends in the regionals or not, right? Like, that's not going to impact his draft stock. But Liam Doyle wanted to win, man. He wanted to win. And right when we lost to Wake Forest on Sunday night, Tony Vitello comes out in the press conference and saying that there's a certain lefty in his ear wanting to play tomorrow night, meaning Monday night. And he was referring to, of course, the great Liam Doyle. And sure enough, man, he comes in the 7th inning and was absolutely electric, dude. Somebody tweeted something yesterday and said every Liam Doyle strikeout feels like a home run. And I could not agree more, just because of his energy, dude. Every time he gets a strikeout, man, just the energy that he has, the excitement that he has, especially coming off the mound after that third out, it's absolutely electric, dude. And like, in this day and age of athletes doing what's best for themselves, right? That's kind of the name of the game now, right? Let's just be honest. With NIL, the transfer portal, athletes do what's best for them, dude. That's the truth. Liam Doyle, what was best for Liam Doyle was to not pitch again. That's a fact. It was best for him to not pitch again and to rest his arm, to not risk injury. But he said, I don't care what's best for me. I want to win. I want what's best for this team and what's best for this fan base. And what's best for this team and this fan base is I come in a relief pitch knowing once Liam Doyle's in the game, it's over. It's done. Wake Forest has absolutely no chance of coming back at this point. So that's what he did, man. And it was phenomenal, dude.
Absolutely massive game from Liam Doyle for sure, and you love to see the competitiveness from Liam Doyle. And so, this game, there was a lot of things going on in the game, not just Liam Doyle. Liam Doyle obviously had the huge performance, like you talked about. So again, we beat Wake Forest 11-5 in this final game 4 to advance from the regionals. So I think first, before there's a couple storylines we want to talk about. I think what I'd love to talk about first, Austin, is that this is Tony V's 5th straight year advancing to the Super Regionals. And I mean, that's an accomplishment in and of itself, right? I mean, there's obviously sustained success that Tony V is having, and he just, in these regionals, man, he's just a monster.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Fifth straight, like you said, was phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal what he's did with this baseball program, dude. I mean, there's no question about it. Um, yeah, I mean, it really can't go understated because this program was kind of dead in the water. They had a run in the 90s with Todd Helton, and like since then it hasn't been much. And it was, I mean, like I always say, dude, I compare it to Peyton and the Colts because they always call Lucas Oil the house that Peyton built. And all this construction does not happen without Tony Vitello. Six I mean, dude, you literally there was absolutely no room on a Monday night. I mean, that place was absolutely sold out. Lindsey Nelson was totally sold out, was totally rowdy. That's another storyline. Andrew Fisher, challenging the fan base with the crowd noise and what have you. And we'll get into that later. But the point is that you do not get a 6,500 capacity. And I get some stadiums are bigger, like Ole Miss, LSU, blah blah blah. Who cares? The point is that this stadium had less than 2,000 capacity before Tony Vitello got here. Now you're looking at over 6,000, and they're continuing to build. And that's not done. I mean, you see the construction cranes all over the stadium. Like that, none of that happens without Tony Vitello. Like Lindsey Nelson is now the house that Tony V built because the program would not put that kind of investment into the team if they weren't getting any returns out of it. And what have you gotten in return? You've gotten fifth straight super regional appearance, potentially on the line this, and we'll get into the Archie preview later, but third straight Omaha appearance if we go to Omaha this year, and of course the national championship last year, and tons of MLB talent too. Like that's one thing that's kind of going under the radar a little bit because we're having so much success here at Tennessee. But go look at some of the guys that Tony Vitello has put into the MLB, dude. Phenomenal so far in their careers. Like Jordan Beck is really starting to figure it out with Colorado. So I can just go on and on about Tony Vitello's accomplishments here at Tennessee. It's been incredible, man. It's been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the potential to go to the third straight Omaha, right? That's what we're going to be playing for is a third straight Omaha appearance, which will be nothing short of incredible given the amount of talent we did lose coming from last year, right? Because you are seeing, people like Christian Moore who are succeeding at the next level and have moved on to the next level that we lost from last year's championship team. So great point there. Huge stuff from Tony V. But now let's get into the nitty gritty of the game itself. You already talked about Liam Doyle a little bit. You alluded to a second ago, Andrew Fisher. So let's talk about that. He challenged the fan base to bring the noise, right? Bring the rowdiness into Lindsey Nelson on Monday night. And the fans seem to have delivered. They seem to have responded well. And then Andrew Fisher himself, in Andrew Fisher fashion, responded as well. Talk us through that.
So I think that last point's important because if Fish is tweeting the fan base and kind of not clowning the fan base, but kind of saying, hey, y'all didn't really y'all haven't shown up enough. And that's bold coming from a player, right? Especially a player that's only been here a season. Like Andrew Fisher has only been here a season. Now he's gotten on base every single game this season. So if anyone's going to say anything, it's going to be Andrew Fisher. But to not just do that, but to show up the way he showed up in the game. That's the most important part of this, because if you come out and you hit 0 for 5 and you were a no-show and you had no energy, then that's one thing. But he brought in so much energy to this offense, dude. He does that game in and game out. He's so consistent with the level of energy he brings, dude. It's absolutely amazing to watch. But then it's the performance, dude. It's the performance. This on-base streak continues. He's literally been on base every single game he's played as a Tennessee Vol. And then he hits the home run that kind of puts it out of reach, dude. Which, I mean, talk about nitty-gritty, man. So Manny Marin, we'll have to shout him out real quick, hits a 2-run shot. Apparently Andrew Fish was hyping him up before that home run. Of course he was. And then Fish comes out, right? He's got one guy on base, and he is amped up, dude. He is amped out of his mind. And really, dude, especially as a hitter, that doesn't really work a lot in baseball, man. Like, it's not a very emotional, it's not as an emotional of a sport as like football, for example. So sometimes emotions in baseball can really hurt your game. Andrew Fisher, it absolutely does not, dude. He is as emotional as you can get on a baseball field. He comes out, he's hyping the crowd up, and then you have the panning to the Wake Forest coach, and he may have said an expletive that has caused some interesting debate in the fan base, and amongst some Vol reporters. And then he does what Fish does, man. He hits an absolute nuke after all of that, right? What the Wake Forest coach said, hyping the crowd up, like looking like he's literally like just wants to rip his jersey. Like he's so, I can't even explain to you, dude. His leg shakes. Like that's part of his like batting stance. His leg just like shakes. Like he's just, I've never really seen a baseball player like he really fits the sport of football, man. Just the amount of emotion he plays with, just like that level of emotion, man. It's so interesting. But it's so effective, man. It's so effective. And then he hits this bomb, which, we've talked about all season, Blake. When Andrew Fisher hits a long ball, it's like, okay, right when it's off the bat, you're like, right when it's off the bat, you're like, okay, this one's gone.
It's not just out of Lindsey Nelson; it's
Yeah.
across the Tennessee River.
Exactly, exactly, dude. Exactly, dude. Like he doesn't like the small stadium stuff. You can say whatever. Maybe it definitely helped Manny Marion's home run. Not Andrew Fisher. Like Andrew Fisher is that thing's gone in any stadium around the country. That's just what he does, man. And it's just again, I'll reiterate that like the challenge to the fan base. First of all, it helped the fan base. Like the fan base that clearly got around, and they were by far the loudest on a Monday night compared to any other night in the regional. And then plus you add on the performance he had and the kind of the back-breaking 2-run home run, and the solid defense he plays at first that he's done all year. It's just, I mean, what a performance. I mean, we can't thank Ole Miss enough. Thank you, Ole Miss. You literally saved the 2025 Vols in a way, dude. Because without Liam Doyle and without Andrew Fisher, this team does not get to where it's at. That's just an absolute fact. The best pitcher in the country, a top 5 MLB prospect, and then Andrew Fisher. They keep saying he's like the 40th prospect. I don't think so, man. I just the way he doesn't strike out, man. He draws so many balls or so many walks, and he also hits bombs, dude. Like he's gonna be, by the time the draft comes, I would not be shocked at all if he's a projected first round pick.
That would be massive and huge pickup from Tony V. Really, honestly, just like theft in the night, really, from Ole Miss, right? When you're taking Liam Doyle and Andrew Fisher, just absolutely huge stuff. Speaking of other fan bases, real quick, shout out to Psycho Seminole. Like the name there. Hey, we appreciate you joining Vol Talk. Looks like you're a Florida State fan, but we appreciate you jumping in the chat here. He says FSU versus Tennessee College World Series Finals.
Hey,
Maybe.
FSU looks good right now, man. I won't lie. FSU looks good. The ACC's kind of showing up the SEC. Now, Tennessee gets a pass. We did our job, right? We got through the Knoxville regional. We can't get through Vandy through their regional. We can't get Texas through their regional. That's on them. Okay, we're not
can't get Florida through their regional. Can't get Alabama through their regional.
That's on them, brother.
Hey,
but
yeah,
we did our job.
Yeah, we absolutely did. But yeah, we'll see. The ACC is having a good time. Florida State looking good. So we'll see. Psycho Seminole. We could maybe we could see that final, because Florida State and Tennessee has a little bit of a
FSU wants their rematch, brother. They definitely want their rematch.
They want the rematch. So
I don't blame them.
We got a little bit of history with them as well. Rhonda hopping in the chat. Rhonda saying last night's game was electric. Definitely like the World Series game. Absolutely. And that's kind of what we're talking about. And Austin, just to kind of put a bow on what we were just talking about before we kind of engage with the chat here with Andrew Fisher, that's what you love to see from a player, is responding in kind, right? Saying, hey, fans, we need you to come up and show out and help us. And then he backs it up with his game, right?
Absolutely.
He backs it up and he, shows out, hits that 2-run homer, puts the game out of reach. Absolutely huge stuff. And so love to see that performance from Andrew Fisher. Following up on the chat here again, Psycho Seminole met some Tennessee fans after the check swing game in Omaha, and they admitted they got away with one. Maybe respect Tennessee baseball fans. Hey, it's debated. Okay, it's debated. But I mean, at the end of the day, I do hope that our fans are respectful on the road. It's obviously this is sports. We're gonna have a good time, but at the end of the day, when you're dealing with other human beings, in real, it's all fun and games when we're talking crap about sports, right? But then when you're actually interacting on a human level, you gotta be pretty human. So Austin and I had the privilege to go down to Hoover last year for the SC championship. That was a good time. Met some other fans. But there's a lot of Tennessee fans down there in Hoover, Austin, and hopefully a lot of Tennessee fans travel to Omaha again if we can. Honestly, hopefully a lot of Tennessee fans travel to Fayetteville for this
Yeah,
Arkansas
I would
game
love that,
uh,
man. I would absolutely love
because
that.
we're going to need that. So again, folks, we're going to get into the preview of the Fayetteville series against Arkansas coming up here soon. But we kind of started a little backwards. We wanted to talk, like Rhonda was saying, this game last night against Wake Forest was electric. So we wanted to start with that. That was the big headline, right? And so, Austin, any other kind of thoughts on this Wake Forest game last night? We talked about the coach and his expletive, and then Andrew Fisher responds the way Andrew Fisher does, hits an absolute bomb, puts the game out of reach. Manny Marin with a 2-run homer. Liam Doyle with an absolute awesome performance. Maybe we need to talk a little bit about the starter, Loy. And then just kind of how that, or I'm sorry, no, Lloyd started the game
AJ
3. We'll
Russell.
talk about that. AJ Russell talked about that. So, and AJ Russell was wanting to start, but then Liam came in and
Well,
did his thing.
I think there's a couple more things I want to talk about with this game, but on the AJ Russell point, because it's a great point. He wasn't phenomenal in the game, but to me, dude, the competitiveness to want the
Right.
ball after already pitching a decent bit in a relief outing in this regional tournament, it says a lot. It says a lot about the culture. I mean, it's like the Liam Doyle situation, not needing to pitch, like, probably not best for him to pitch, but was best for the team. And then you top that with AJ Russell like begging for an opportunity to start in this regional when he's, again, AJ Russell's coming off injury. He's coming off Tommy John, man. Like he's still, he's back, but he's not like fully back. He's not fully recovered from that injury. So he's always on kind of like a pitch count. But I just, again, it speaks a lot to the culture, man. Like this team wants to win and they really don't care about their own draft stocks or whatever. Like they're not looking ahead, man. They want to win this year right now. They feel like they have an opportunity to do so. And dude, if you watch any national baseball coverage, I mean, people are from the people I'm listening to, like Chris Burke, which he's a Tennessee alum, but it's fine. He's on ESPN Squeeze Play. If you watch any ESPN Squeeze Play this past weekend with all the coverage of the regionals, they're saying that Arkansas and Tennessee are the two most talented teams left in the tournament. It's hard to disagree. When you look, I mean, every time we have a guy on the mound, Blake, they're like, oh, Liam Doyle is a top 5 pick. Oh, Marcus Phillips is a projected, first to second round pick. AJ Russell is projected first round pick. Andrew Fisher, first to second round pick. Like you just go down the list. Gavin Keelan, projected first round pick. I mean, it's an absolutely loaded team, man. It's a loaded team. Now, does that mean we're going to beat Arkansas? No, we'll get into that later. But so again, overall, it just shows the competitiveness of this pitching staff and just culture overall. Another thing, kind of going back to the Wake Forest coach, the only thing I have to say about this is Wes Rucker's tweet right after the fact. I have to bring this up, Blake, because right when Tennessee fans are tweeting Wes Rucker, hey, have you seen this clip? Blah, blah, blah. His first response is, I have to make sure it's not AI generated first. What? You have to make sure it's not AI. Dude, people screen recorded it from their TV. Are you watching obviously he's watching in the stadium, so he's not getting like the TV aspect of this. But do you really think like ChatGPT would be able to spit this out in like seconds after it took place? Like, come on, man. Like, get real. You're not being like a good reporter by doing that, in my opinion. And that's kind of where I'll leave it. I just thought that was kind of a goofy response. Like, of course it's not AI generated, dude. And I'm not a lip reading expert. Like I'm really bad at lip reading actually. So who knows actually what the guy said or whatever. But I'll kind of piggyback this, Blake, though, and get into Cannon Peebles was ejected in this game, Blake.
But
I don't
yeah,
know if you missed this.
I saw that
So Cannon,
because apparently he said something to the catcher. I mean,
exactly. Which let me this might be a tangent. I'll just be honest with y'all. This might be a tangent
this is Vol
because
Talk. We're here to talk. We talk a lot. Y'all know the program. Come on.
so it's not just that he got kicked out of this game, but he's out for the first game of the Arkansas series. I
I
don't know
did
if you
not
knew
know
that
that.
part of that.
I did not know that. That
So
pisses me off.
yeah, no doubt, because Cannon Peebles has become like our solidified catcher, right? Like midway through the year, it was like, okay, sometimes we'll start Stone Lawless, sometimes we'll start Cannon Peebles, but for the most part, it's been Cannon Peebles of recently, and he's been a lot better. He has gotten a lot better throughout the year, and so it's kind of flabbergasting, dude, in a way, because it's like, dude, we're in like the catcher said. The funny thing is, the catcher said something to Cannon Peebles, and then Peebles says something back to the catcher. But Cannon Peebles is the one ejected. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And it's like, dude, read the effing room. Like, you have the Wake Forest coach saying what he's saying. Of course, he won't be suspended. I'm not even sure he should be suspended because, Blake, this is a regional final, brother. We're playing to go on to the super regionals for a chance to play in Omaha. It's words, dude. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, dude, we have to just like kind of just let what happens on the field stay on the field, right? Now, if they get into like a scuffle or whatever, then sure, suspend the guy. But you're potentially costing us. I mean, that's a big piece, dude. That's our starting catcher. Like, you're costing us our starting catcher in the Arkansas series for something we don't even know what he said, because the NCAA won't even come out and say it. All because one umpire makes the decision that, okay, you're kicked out of this game, meaning you're kicked out of the next game. And dude, why does he have to not play the next game? Like, and this happened also to a Duke player, Blake, and during this regionals. I'll give you this story real quick. They're playing Georgia, and in their regional final game, and or maybe it was, I can't remember. I think it was Georgia. And he runs out onto the field to celebrate, right? He runs out onto the field to celebrate, whatever. They kick him out of the game, and now he's going to be suspended the next game. Like, are you kidding me? He's celebrating a big play in the game. He runs like 2 feet out onto the field. This is just more example of the NCAA just not being able to get out of its own way, right? They could do the right thing in these situations, right? Like, they could come out and say, okay, we made a mistake. Like, it's a regional final environment. It's a very high intense environment. Like, words are going to be said, people are going to celebrate. Let's just move on. They could do that, but instead they're, of course, in classic NCAA fashion, not doing the right thing. After we just gave them credit like two episodes ago. Actually, that wasn't even them, so we won't give them credit for that. That was the College Football Playoff Committee. But I digress, man. Cannon Peebles out for the first game of the Arkansas series because NCAA, of course, once again, can't do the right thing.
Power trip, right? I mean, the umpires, NCAA, they want to be. That's what always kills me, right? Especially these umps that like just want to be the center of attention. I'm like, dude, no one's watching for you, man. Like,
Yeah,
you've
man.
said this before. No one's watching for the umpire. Okay. Yeah, Psycho Seminole says it's the ump show.
It's how
Yeah,
it is
man.
sometimes, man.
It really is, and we're not there to watch the umps. I mean, they're a part of baseball, right? It's a part of baseball culture, but we're not there to watch you, man. Please don't affect the game. Psycho Seminole says same thing happened Sunday in Tallahassee. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but Austin, any other before we kind of quickly review the rest of the games of the regional? Obviously, this was our solidifying win on Monday, yesterday. Any other final thoughts on this Wake Forest game before we rewind in time here?
No, man, there was obviously a lot that happened in that game. I'll quickly shout out Hunter Inslee. I'm gonna shout him out every show. He got a huge hit in the seventh inning. Really, dude, when it's like seventh through ninth inning, I just am just waiting. Where is the super crucial Hunter Inslee play gonna happen?
Yeah,
I didn't. I won't say he had a super crucial play in this game, but he got that hit in the seventh inning. That was huge. So yeah, man, just always watching for Mr. Clutch to make another clutch play.
absolutely. Hunter Ensley is the great for a reason. We can expect a huge play from Hunter Ensley pretty much every game. Rhonda says umpire's not supposed to have rabbit ears.
Yeah.
For sure. For
I
sure.
mean, you just can't kick a guy out of a game. Like when you know what's on the line, you just can't do that, dude. Like we're trying to play for a chance at Omaha. And if you looked at what happened to the other side of the bracket, dude, if we kick Arkansas out of this tournament, dude, who the hell's left? I mean, come on. I mean, FSU, that's a team. Obviously, you like North Carolina's really tough. It's pretty much those ACC schools and whoever wins this Tennessee and Arkansas series, dude.
Going to be an interesting ride once whoever does get to Omaha for sure. So yeah, at the end of the day, if player safety is not endangered, come on,
Yeah,
don't affect
agreed.
the postseason like that, right? So, folks, we're now going to rewind in time. So we started with Game 4. We're now going to kind of quickly just kind of review the rest of the weekend, Austin. So again, we started the weekend on Friday with a pretty emphatic win over Miami of Ohio. We won that game 9-2. And if I'm not mistaken, as we kind of anticipated, Liam Doyle got the start in that game and obviously did what he does. And we got that first crucial win. Any thoughts on that Miami of Ohio game?
Yeah, like you said, Liam Doyle did his thing. Blake, you get some credit for Liam Doyle pitching again because I remember we had a discussion there in our regional preview, dude, and you said, "Oh, could Liam Doyle start that Monday game if we get to Monday?" And I said, "I don't think he'll start." But he ended up pitching. I mean, he ended up pitching after playing like throwing over 100 pitches in this Miami of Ohio game. Like you said, it was kind of a breeze in this game. It wasn't like they hung in there for a while, but I mean, it's going to be tough with Liam Doyle on the mound, man. That's just going to be a tough assignment for any team, especially a team like Miami of Ohio. Reese Chapman hit a home run in this game. Reese Chapman, like I remember watching that AB, man, and it just felt like because Reese Chapman of recently hasn't been a very effective offensive player, and during that AB when he went and hit that home run against Miami of Ohio, I was like, dude, it just looks different. Like his level of confidence just looks different. And hopefully he can kind of like catch that lightning in a bottle the rest of the postseason. Because we talked about Reese Chapman's one of those guys that we talked about, Blake, that, hey, he was on last year's team. Like he was part of last year's team that just went on this like crazy run through the SC tournament and run through Omaha. So like he's been there and done that. He's been in those situations. So and he saw what it takes. So he's going to be a huge piece, obviously going forward in this super regional and potentially Omaha. So shout out to Reese Chapman for that home run.
Yeah, I love to see him get some offensive production, get those names that we were accustomed to hearing last year, hearing those names again because so far this year it's kind of been the Andrew Fisher, Liam Doyle show. So, but yeah, I did think it was interesting that Tony V was kind of it seemed like he was planning for that potential Monday game, right? That game 4 by start because you had talked about, hey, Marcus Phillips, had been getting the first game start in the past couple series. And so, but then we switched it back to Liam Doyle, and lo and behold, Liam Doyle ended up being a factor on Monday. So that was huge for sure. Real quick, catching up on the chat here, Psycho Seminole says UNC could be the best team in the nation. Austin and I definitely agree that they've been looking hot. That's for sure.
I literally said that to you last week, Blake, after they blew out Clemson in the ACC championship, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, the ACC's like really just like stood tall in this tournament, man, in a big way. SEC put to shame, but again, the Vols get a pass. And I'm not gonna lie, on this podcast, Blake, we hate watch, man. When we saw Vanderbilt lose, hey, dude, it was a celebration, dog.
Beautiful.
It was a celebration, and Texas lost, which I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's called karma. They hired a scumbag, and they got scumbag results, and that's exactly what happened. UTSA beat Texas. I mean, that's kind of sad. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of SEC. I mean, we knew Bama and Florida weren't going to be factors this year. They weren't even hosting. Ole Miss. I mean, come on, Ole Miss. Like you got to the SEC championship game, you lost to Vanderbilt. Hang the banner, runner up in the SEC championship. That's all you got. You lost your best 2 players, and they weren't going to be your. Let's be clear about this too. Okay, let's be clear about this, Blake, because Liam Doyle and Andrew Fisher took a massive step forward from Ole Miss to Tennessee. Like their games got so much. Liam Doyle wasn't even starting on weekends before he transferred to Tennessee, and he became the Friday night starter, top 5 pick. Like, you think that's a coincidence, Ole Miss? It's not a
Come on.
coincidence, brother. It's called development. It's called player development. It's called having Frank, who's the best pitching coach in the country. It's called having Tony Vitello. Like, this is called player development, and that's why Andrew Fisher and Liam Doyle took the step they took. But thank you, appreciate that. Appreciate watch our super regional from home and watch your former players, Ole Miss.
They are going to continue to have success under Tony V that they did not have at Ole Miss. So we do like to, hate watch Vandy, especially, they look for, it's
Oh,
funny. They've been real yappy, whenever, I think honestly, it's almost like ever since they beat Bama in football, they've started being more yappy. And then of course, honestly, you almost feel bad for them because as soon as their little Barstool account starts getting yappy, like the tide turns the next day, right?
oh, I
As
know,
soon as
dude.
they start getting
I know.
uppity. It's hilarious. Psycho says Florida lost
See,
NCC and ECU regional. Yeah, pretty sad. And listen, we hate the Gators and Bama the most, even though it's mostly a football rivalry. But we love to see them lose any way we can. But
I did see.
anyway,
I did well.
go ahead.
Psycho also mentioned how the Florida coach freaked out when one of their games were pushed back. I did see that, which was kind of sad, dude. Like, he was chewing out like a grounds member, dude. Like a dude who, like, come on, somebody who works in the stadium, probably for, I mean, pennies on the dollar what he's making. Like, not even close to what that man's making, and he's chewing him out like a guy who's I don't know, man, really just giving up his time more than anything, like more than the paycheck. It's just sad to see. Typical Florida behavior, though, man. That's just typical Florida behavior. Is anyone surprised by that? No, no one's surprised by it. It's just, yeah. I mean, that's the Florida Gators, man. That's what they do.
I guess that's one thing that we can find common
Yes,
ground on for sure
yes,
with Psycho
sir.
Semino is hate of
We're Gator
Gainesville. No,
haters, brother.
Gator hater all the way through for sure. So
The enemy of my
welcome.
enemy is my friend.
That's right. Welcome, Psycho, to the Gator Hater Club. You will find plenty of Gator hate on this podcast, no doubt. But Austin, we got a little sidetracked here. We love it's good. We love sidetracking with the chat here. So y'all keep the chats coming. We really appreciate it. Anyone else watching, if you're just now joining us, we really appreciate you joining tonight's live stream episode. So far, we have reviewed. We've been reviewing the regional performance. We're going to be talking about the super regional coming up here soon. But again, if you're just joining us, hop in the chat here, join the conversation. We'd love to continue the conversation with you guys. But Austin, let's talk quickly about game 2. Cincinnati won that one 10-6, and man, the Cincinnati game, it looked like it was going to be close, but then we ended up having a pretty strong performance. Talk us through that one.
I'll keep pounding the table for Marcus Phillips, man. I have all season too, Blake. Don't get it twisted. I have when Tennessee fans have absolutely dragged Marcus Phillips, not really. I feel like those are the kind of fans that kind of half follow the games and don't really like, because if you're paying attention, Marcus Phillips has had a great year. Now, he has had a problem with base stealers stealing bases. That was his big issue. Well, Blake, in this game, he picked a guy off of first base in this game to get an out, which is huge, man. It literally shows improvement throughout the season, right? He was bad at something. He was challenged by his coach in a press conference, and I'm sure many more times outside of press conferences to get better at picking off runners and at least paying attention to base runners. And what does he do? He got better at it, man. And he's gotten better at it throughout the end of this year. And then, of course, in this game, he was phenomenal at it. So Marcus Phillips has been great. He had another solid outing in this game. Pitched 6 innings, 8 Ks, only 3 earned runs. So it was a really good outing for him against Cincinnati. And the bats are staying hot, man. We said, Blake, one of our points that we brought up in the regional preview was this team had one loss out of conference, man. Like, this team was considered the best team in the country before SEC play started, and even into SEC play, 2 series into SEC play, was still considered the best team in the country. And then, of course, we had our slump, losing all those series. But we have been really good outside of conference. Now, we didn't have the toughest outside of conference schedule. I brought that up. But we looked really good once again outside of conference in this regional tournament. Unfortunately, we played in one of the only brackets where the SEC school won the regional, and we had to go play Arkansas next, a team that we just lost to. But still, man, I mean, like the hitting is just like, yeah, it's better. It's better against non-conference opponents, and it makes sense. I mean, the competition's not as good. Dean Curley hit a home run in this game. Dean Curley deserves a ton of respect, man. Like once this season's done, no matter how far we go in this tournament, Blake, Dean Curley deserves a lot of respect, man, because this is a guy, Wes Rucker, not to pour it on Wes Rucker, but he called for Dean Curley to never play in the infield again in the rest of his Tennessee career. That's a bold take. That is a bold take. And then Tony V came out that very press conference and said it's ride or die with Dean Curley. And there's literally nothing else you would want to hear as a player going through a defensive slump like he was than your coach to come out and say it's ride or die with you. Like that's exactly what you want to hear. And it obviously helped his confidence. Like he hasn't fielded everything cleanly since then. There's still been issues here and there. He had a high throw in the Wake Forest game on Monday, that fish came down with. But the point is that he's starting to get out of it, right? He's starting to get out of his defensive slump, and he has gotten better offensively, hitting a home run. He actually hit this home run while Tony V was getting interviewed, by the way. He was getting interviewed in the game, and for some reason, the guys have like a tendency to do this while Tony V's like getting the interview during the postseason. Guys just love to hit bombs while he's getting interviewed. And yeah, Tony V said something like, Dean's pretty strong. Maybe this one will get over the fence. And sure enough, it did. So it was good to see Dean bounce back.
Yeah, and that's it's ironic that it happened while Tony V was getting interviewed because Tony V's been sticking it out with Dean Curley, right? He's like you've been talking about, ride or die with his guys. You love to see it. So definitely going to need Dean Curley is again one of those names that we heard a lot last year, where it was like Dean Curley was huge in our postseason run last year. You haven't been hearing his name as much this year because he has been in a bit of a slump. But now he's kind of hopefully working his way out of it, and you kind of want to see that continue, and so that we can kind of spread the love, especially in terms of offensive production as we continue throughout this postseason. At least that's what I hope to see. I think that's what we're going to need to see to continue to get through this postseason here. We've got a couple new chatters here. Shout out to Herb Goni. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name here, but old Herb here, he says our infield defense wasn't that great last year either. That's very true. And then Psycho saying, I'm just glad both can't make College World Series, two great ball teams. Absolutely. I'm assuming you're referring to us in Arkansas. So we're gonna hop into the super regional preview here shortly, folks. Because yeah, that's definitely going to be a big thing, right? Who is going to come out on top against Arkansas? We had a really close series with them during the regular season. So honestly, Austin, if this trend can continue, talking about Dean Curley, right? Talking about Reese Chapman, talking about these guys, even Liam Doyle, right? Kind of getting out of these slumps, then I think we have a strong chance against Arkansas. We'll get into that here in a minute, folks. Austin, last game is the game that we're going to review anyway, is the game that we dropped, which was that first game to Wake Forest. We lost late in the game. We lost this one kind of at the end of the game, 6-7. Talk us through that and kind of what happened and what we saw in that game.
Biggest storylines. I'll try to keep this one mostly positive, even though it was a loss. It was a really tough, hard fought game. Levi Clark and Andrew Fisher both hit home runs. Man, Levi Clark's going to be good, man. Levi Clark is going to be so good. I don't know how much work he's actually getting at catcher, like in practice and whatnot. Obviously, they probably don't have a lot of practice time right now. Mostly focusing on like what they're actually going to be doing in these postseason games, but he's going to be really good. He looks really good as a freshman. And then Brandon Arvinson, man, like to me, he's the biggest storyline in this game. Dylan Loy gets the start. It was never going to be a long start for Dylan Loy. They never expected him to get through much of the lineup, maybe like through 6 batters, and he didn't even do that. He gave up a home run, and then that was kind of it. Once he gave up a home run, they're like, all right, time to get Dylan out of the game. And then Arvinson came in and obviously didn't start the game, but to me, pretty much was the starter. He threw over 100 pitches in this game, 105 pitches, and was really, really good, dude. Like, he was kind of shake. It was crazy, dude, because they were getting a guy warmed up, like, in the bullpen to go get Arvinson. He gives up a 2-run home run, right? And right when he gives up this 2-run home run, he just locked in. Like, it was one of those situations where it was like any pitch now, it could be the last pitch, but it ended up being like 2 or 3 more innings, dude, because he just kept like getting strikeouts. He had 12 Ks in this game. Arvinson, since that Texas game, man, and we talked about this in the regional preview, sometimes guys just like come out of nowhere. Like, Arvinson has not played a ton this season in relief, but now, to me, seeing that he essentially made this start, he pitched 5 innings in this game. He might be the number one reliever on this team now, man, which is absurd that you just kind of found that, towards postseason time, which is the perfect time to find it. And he's definitely, trust me, he is definitely making an appearance in this Arkansas series. I have little doubt about that. Probably on Sunday. That's my prediction. Just throw that in there. And then and then Nate Snead came in, and we don't have to get into that. It wasn't his best performance. It was a very I'll say Nate Snead-esque performance in a way, just because the command wasn't there. And I'll say Snead's I won't go as far as to say a legend, but he is a VFL. He was a part of that national championship team a year ago. He's done a lot of great things. And when it's right, dude, it's right. That's the thing with Snead. Like, he's got the stuff. He's got the velocity and the things you want out of a pitcher. But I will say, it does feel like for some reason, his 98, like, even when his 98 mile per hour fastball is online, Blake, and it gets up to 100, even when it's online, dude, it just feels way more hittable than like when Liam Doyle's there, or even, when Tanner Franklin gets to that speed, or Marcus Phillips. Like, those are the guys that are comparable velocity wise, but Snead's just is more hittable to me for some reason, or at least from what I've seen. And we all know the command isn't always there either, which is his biggest issue. But listen, we gave up basically a walk-off walk was what it was. The bases got loaded, made some defensive mistakes, made some pitching mistakes, and then gave up the walk to end the game. And then people were like really upset after the game that we weren't the home team, and so that we didn't have another chance to bat, which I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, I get it, because it feels bad to lose on a walk-off walk, but at the same time, we had as many innings as they did to get there. So it's one of those things. I don't think it really mattered. But again, I think overall in this game, I was mostly impressed with Arvinson and what he's going to bring to this team going forward, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that we found him when we did, or that he kind of came out of the woodworks when he did, like you are talking about, Brandon Arvidsson, that you kind of talked about. We kind of gave him, I guess, a shot against Texas because I believe is it that he transferred from Texas, or
He transferred from A&M. He was
A&M?
Committed to go to Texas until they
Okay.
hired that coach. And I won't go there again, but just go look into the Texas coach. It doesn't surprise me at all they didn't make it out of the
Yeah.
regional. That's called karma. It's whatever. But he was committed to go to Texas, and then he had that electric performance against Texas in the Super Regional, in the SC tournament. Where if we don't have that performance from Arvinson in that game, we do not win that game, the SEC tournament, man. So
Absolutely huge stuff from him. He's going to continue to be pivotal. I can't even pivotal There we go. I got it. Jeez Louise, that was terrible. He's going to be pivotal in this postseason, so we're going to continue to see him. Hopefully in Arkansas, have some big stuff. Real quick, shout out to Herb. He says this is his first time listening. When do you guys do live shows during the week? Thanks. Enjoyed what I heard so far. First time catching you, Herb. We really appreciate the support, man. We're really glad you caught the show tonight. Appreciate you jumping in the chat as well. Yeah, throw us a subscription. We typically do our shows right now during baseball season. We're typically doing them on Mondays or Tuesdays, depending on how the games shake out, right? So, Austin, I believe the Arkansas series is going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, correct?
It's Saturday through Monday. So
Saturday through Monday. Okay, so we're probably going to do Tuesday again next week. Is that kind of what we're looking at?
If we go 3 games, we will be live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. If we go 2 games, it also depends. That Sunday game, we might go live Sunday night. If we sweep Arkansas, we might just turn on notifications because we might be going live Sunday night if we sweep Arkansas in the Supers. But definitely count if it's a 3-game series. Definitely count for us to be live Sunday Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. We're
Win or lose, too. We show up, win or lose, baby.
That's right. Listen, it is our sovereign duty to cover volunteer sports, as we've talked about on this podcast. So win or lose, we'll be showing up. But again, right now in the baseball postseason, we've been kind of basing it on these games, and so you can be sure that we'll be going live the day after, or whenever the series ends. If not, like Austin said, if we sweep Arkansas and we're feeling good, we're on a high.
We might have to hop on here and get a live show going.
We'll hop on, and once we head into Herb, if you are if you're a football fan as well, once we head into seasons like the football season where we know exactly when obviously we know our games are on the weekends, we're gonna have a set schedule for you guys
Yes.
in terms of going live. So, but yeah, Herb, really appreciate you jumping in the chat here and catching the show. Catching up on chat here real quick, Austin. Psycho Seminole says, I personally think teams should be reseeded, after regionals, because RPI obviously wasn't accurate. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was in this tournament so far.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's definitely fair in this tournament. Let's see here. Psycho says teams. Rhonda says that she agrees. Teams like Psycho says teams like FSU and Tennessee get punished for them being wrong on seeding, and we both know that's 2 of the top baseball environments in college baseball as well. That's really I mean. Yeah, we're seeing that right now for sure. Again, shout out to Herb and shout out to Psycho and shout out to Rhonda. I appreciate Rhonda being here as always. Rhonda says, "Sweep Arkansas, definitely Rocky Top will be rocking." Absolutely.
Yes.
Listen,
I wish it was in Knoxville, Rhonda. I wish it was in Knoxville.
We are going to be ravenous if we are headed to Omaha again, because man, we're going to be smelling blood in the water. Austin, you talked about this group of teams that's going to be in Omaha especially if we can knock Arkansas out. I mean, we're going to be ravenous for a back-to-back championship.
Ravenous, dude. We're going to be starving for it. We've been waiting for these times on Rocky Top, Rhonda. Also, later, Rhonda, I think she's headed out. So thank you for watching, as always, as Blake said.
Yeah, thanks for the support as always, Rhonda. Says she's got to jump off. So we will talk to you on the next show, Rhonda. Again, thanks to all the chatters who has joined us so far on this live stream.
Well, I think we lost Blake's connection here. Can't hear Blake.
Am I back?
Yes, he is back. He is back.
Okay, sorry about
difficulties.
Unplugged my mic a little bit. I was just saying thank you all to everyone for the support so far. Look, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and give us a subscription. We'd really appreciate it. Like Austin said, turn on notifications so you can know when we're going live. But we really appreciate the support. Austin, do you have any other thoughts on the regionals? So we've reviewed all the games now. Again, we dropped that game to Wake Forest, but then we bounced back with that great win yesterday against Wake Forest, 11-5, and so now we're advancing to the Supers, and that's the hot topic on everyone's mind is this Arkansas series coming up. Yeah, got any final thoughts on the regionals, Austin?
My final thought is, brother, can you imagine all of the disappointed SEC fan bases when we beat Wake Forest in that final game. How many teams and how many fans were hate watching Tennessee? Vanderbilt 100% was. Texas probably was. There was I mean, of course, Florida and Alabama, they're always hate watching. They're always looking for us to lose. Kentucky, little old Kentucky, thought they were going to pull off a little upset, but couldn't get the job done against West Virginia. Are you kidding me, Kentucky? That's pathetic. There was a lot of SEC fan bases. Ole Miss, Ole Miss is hate watching, brother. Of course, they're watching themselves getting beat up by Murray State. Murray State, that's their first ever super regional appearance ever, Blake, by the way. So that's what Ole Miss gave them. They gifted us Liam Doyle and Andrew Fisher, and they gifted Murray State their first ever super regional appearance. So Ole Miss is just giving out gifts left and right. So there are a lot of hate watchers out there, a lot of disappointed fan bases, dude. A lot of Arkansas fans this weekend, but we'll see how it turns out for them.
Arkansas is definitely going to be chippy. I will say that their fan base is going to be loud. It is unfortunate that it is in Fayetteville because they're definitely going to be loud. But you love to see the failure of all these other SC teams, baby. Look, this is the Vol Talk podcast, okay? This is not SEC. No.
Go watch SEC Network for that.
What they got to make sense of, Austin, is go damn Vols. Okay, that's all they got to make sense of.
That's all we know, brother.
That's all we know on this podcast. Okay, Psycho says Mississippi State or Miss State crybaby fans. Yeah, look, I don't care what SC team it is. It's go Vols, baby. Right.
We'll make friends with ACC chatters, but SEC chatters. Hey, we're always welcome though. If you're watching the Vol Talk podcast and you have some sports banter, we can go back and forth, and it's clean stuff. We're good. You're always welcome to the Vol Talk podcast, but. Listen, we're hate watching other SEC schools too, to be honest with you. Me and Blake last week before we got on to do the regional preview, we're looking through the SEC competition. We're like, man, are any of these teams we would be fine with winning? And I'm like, no. Well, like there's literally none.
Like maybe Auburn. Actually, Auburn. I think the ones that we were like maybe okay with was like Auburn, and I guess Auburn ended up.
No, they're still in it. They're still in it, so who knows?
Anyway, you love to see the failures of Alabama, Florida, Vandy, and of course we got Santa Claus, Ole Miss here handing out gifts left and right, like Austin said. Psycho in here joining in on the hate with us here.
Love it.
We appreciate it. Again, hey, look, Psycho, until we meet FSU in the College World Series again, then or in the postseason again, and even then, right? It's going to be fun, back and forth, right? But we love to see you jumping on the train here.
I don't think any college baseball fans would be mad about that rematch, right? I mean, how good those games were last year in Omaha and how talented those teams are this year. We would love it, man. But we just want back in the dance.
We want back in Omaha for sure. And talk if we were to meet Florida State again, talk about an exciting kind of series and headlines going into that game, right? FSU looking for revenge. Honestly, I'd kind of be a little worried about it because FSU would be wanting revenge, and I don't exactly.
We already saw they would want revenge, and I don't blame them either.
We already saw what happened with Texas A&M wanting revenge, so don't want to do all that. Folks, again, we really appreciate everyone's support and everyone hopping in the chat here. Continue to do that. If you're just now joining us, let us know what you think in the chat. We had to have a little bit of SEC hate real quick, our rivals hate, I should say. But now we're going to move on to what is on everyone's mind, which is the preview of the Arkansas series. Austin, we had a tough-fought series against Arkansas in the regular season. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, that was the first time that we did the kind of switch with Marcus Phillips
and Liam Doyle. It absolutely is, man.
And Liam Doyle, for whatever reason, I don't know if that threw him off his game or Arkansas just figured out how to hit against Liam Doyle or what. But they had his number. He didn't have his best outing against Arkansas. Kind of went into a little bit of a slump heading into the SEC tournament. It's a chance to redeem himself, man. Liam Doyle's also another energetic guy. He's a competitive guy. I have no doubt that he's going to be looking to have a better outing in this rematch against Arkansas. And I hope these guys are hungry, man. I mean, what are the biggest headlines going into this Arkansas game or
Let me
our series?
let me start by saying I'm not thrilled pulling
Graduates,
Arkansas.
today
Let
you
me just
enter
be
the
honest with
real.
Arkansas fans. You're one of the best teams in the country. I'd rather be playing a lot more teams right now, especially considering how many SEC teams have lost. Arkansas has looked really good, and they want it so badly. That's the thing. We still have a target on our back, Blake. We are the defending national champions. And we have Arkansas's former assistant coach, Tony Vitello, a guy who really helped them out when he was there, was a really good recruiter for Arkansas, and has had some kind of chippiness with Dave Van Horn, their coach, like former coach. Like it's just been kind of, it hasn't been all, like respect since he's left with Arkansas. And the Arkansas fan base does not like Tennessee. We're obviously a very loud fan base on social media, so a lot of fan bases don't like Tennessee. But listen, man, like here's the deal. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's hard to know whether Liam Doyle was just off against Arkansas or if Arkansas just like you said, found a way to hit on Liam Doyle. Because to me, if you look at Liam Doyle's worst two outings, it was really back to back, right? You talked about earlier how Liam Doyle's kind of came out of a slump during this regional outing. And the reason you said that is because he ended the season with this Arkansas game that he was, again, in this series. I'll kind of just backtrack a little bit. We were up 1-0. Like we started with Marcus Phillips. It was looking like we were about to secure this series and finally get out of this slump in the SEC that we were in because we had Liam Doyle to finish it out. But he couldn't get the job done because he had his worst outing of the season. And then the or the SEC tournament where Liam Doyle, to me, Liam Doyle in the SEC tournament against Texas just didn't have the command. His command was off, meaning he couldn't get it in the zone, right? He could not get it in the strike zone. What worries me with Arkansas, man, I think it was more so like he got a lot of strikeouts against Arkansas. If I remember correctly, like he had quite a few strikeouts in that game. He was getting in the zone. They were just kind of raking off Liam Doyle, which we are not accustomed to seeing. Now, can you repeat that twice? Like, you can say, okay, they did it once, so they're likely to do it again. Or you can say, okay, Liam Doyle has faced them once and can now make adjustments, right? I mean, this was our last SEC series, Blake. Like, this was our last series of the year. No, yeah, it was our last series of the year. So, yeah, man. I mean, we literally just faced them. So now you can try to make the adjustments and see if you can figure it out. It wasn't like it was like, I mean, the game was still really close, right? Like if Doyle was just half of what he's been all year, we beat Arkansas in this series. And you have Arkansas series or Arkansas fans chirping, saying how, oh, listen, Liam Doyle should be scared of us. Look what we just did against Liam Doyle literally just a couple of weeks ago. He had 10 Ks in the game, but 11 hits, man. I mean, that's just not Liam Doyle. And he only pitched 4 innings, but had 104 pitches in that Arkansas game. It was a rough outing, man. It was absolutely rough. But I would not get too cocky if I'm Arkansas fans because we've seen Liam Doyle all year, Blake. Like the overwhelming evidence is that he's the best pitcher in the entire country, right? Like that's the overwhelming evidence with watching Doyle on the mound. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick. I wouldn't get so cocky, right? I wouldn't be so
Yeah.
confident that my team's going to be able to repeat the performance that they did in that series. Also, if you're a stat guy, like if you're just going to play the statistics, how likely is it that we lose another SEC series? Like we've been in all these dogfights, and they have been dogfights. Let's not mistell the story, Blake. Like the Vanderbilt series, the Arkansas series, the LSU series, all these series were very winnable for Tennessee. Like the walk-off against Vanderbilt, or the LSU series where we blow a 3-0 lead in the ninth inning, or the Arkansas series where we get our bats finally come alive for Liam Doyle, hit 14 hits, but our ace, the best pitcher in the country, has his worst performance of the entire season. Like, doesn't it feel like the script is going to flip? Like, it just, to me, the way things are going right now, dude, it just feels like it's time for the script to flip, and like things are going to change. We're finally going to get over this SEC series hump that or slump, I should say, that we've been in kind of since midway through the year.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about law of averages as well, right, in previous episodes, right? And with Liam Doyle especially, and then just in general, the law of averages is going to catch up eventually, right? So I think that's absolutely going to be a factor in terms of just can put it this way: if Arkansas can, you know, win this series against us, then absolutely watch out. They might go on to win it all.
No
That's
doubt.
for sure. I'm going to catch up on the chat here real quick. I'm going to go back a few chats here. Psycho Seminole kind of carrying the chat here for us. We appreciate you. He says, we don't like the Vols. We respect them. Hey, absolutely. Right. That's what sports is all about, baby. Unless it's a hated rival, right? You can so team like FSU, we can respect, right? We may not like you, but we can respect you. So absolutely respect that take. He says that we were best two teams last year, in his opinion, in terms of the Seminoles and the Vols. I would say that's probably fair. I mean, given the situation between the Vols and the Seminoles, right, in the postseason last year. He says also that Doyle's a dog. He thinks he'll bounce back. That's exactly what we're kind of talking about. Is hey, look, Doyle's going to he's got to bounce back. I mean, he's going to eventually bounce back. But here's an interesting question that he poses, Austin. He says, does he pitch in game one after he pitched last night, or do y'all save him for game two? And so,
It's fascinating.
and then he says that Jamie Arnold is one of the best two pitchers as well. Yeah, so this is an interesting question, right? Because in the regular season Arkansas game or Arkansas series, we did switch. Well, that was the first series where we swapped the script. We had Marcus Phillips start game one, and then we started Liam Doyle game two. So interesting question with him pitching this past Monday. Do we do that again?
So I absolutely think that's what we're going to do, because for one, it like all things considered, it should have worked in the first Arkansas series, right? Like you got the Marcus Phillips win in game one. Once you get a non Liam Doyle win, it should be a series win. Like that's how you should consider it. And that's kind of how it played out, but Doyle just didn't have his best performance. And then, of course, Doyle did what he did in the regionals, was absolutely phenomenal. Pitched on Monday night, like you just said, Blake, and had that electric performance. Probably is, I mean, just one of the best performances I've seen, man. It was just so amazing. And so now he has like this extra pitch count. So now it makes even more sense to save Liam Doyle for game two, and that would be Sunday night. Now it's also nice that we got the scheduling that we got. Like it's nice that this series starts on Saturday opposed to Friday, because Doyle gets an extra day of rest. But even with the extra day of rest, I think the plan will be to start Marcus Phillips Saturday and then start Liam Doyle on Sunday. Because if you get the Marcus Phillips win on Saturday, man, like to me, you have to go all out to win that second game. Like it has to be Doyle until the wheels fall off, and then you get Arvinson in there, you get AJ Russell in there. If you win game one against Arkansas, it has to be all chips in game two, because that's when you have William Doyle, man, and that's our best chance to win. Just kind of like it played out in the regular season. So I do think that's how it will play out, Blake, is he'll start game two. It just makes too much sense. We even debated whether he would start game two in this regional, but it makes sense how they played it in the regional, Blake, because it gives him enough rest to potentially pitch on Monday, and that's exactly how it played out. But since it's a 3-game series, it makes more sense for Doyle to go on game two opposed to game one, especially with him pitching those extra innings on Monday.
And it'll absolutely be massive if Marcus Phillips can get the win in game one. Again, assuming that he gets the start in game one, and then we've got Doyle in game two. But then the interesting question for me, Austin, is, man, like you said, you kind of got to go all chips in. You got to go all in on game two if you're going into that game. Maybe it's a little different if Marcus Phillips can't get the job done. If we can't get the job done in game one,
you got to save arms for game three.
Then you got to save it for game three. But in game two, if you're going into that 1-0, then Arvidsson, right, you kind of got to go all in and play him in relief, because Otherwise, I mean, on Sunday, if you go into Sunday 1-1, or if you go into the final game, which it would be on Monday, um, if you go into that 1-1 and shoot, you're missing Arvidsson, you're missing, obviously Doyle. I mean, who do we have left, right? I mean, either I guess AJ Russell or Loy gets the start, and then in the bullpen, I mean, it would look rough.
Yeah, it would. It would look rough. It would. Um, yeah, but yeah, because Coons, like Tegan Coons, looked good early to start the year. He didn't even pitch in this regional outing. Tony V kind of said he like regretted that a bit. Like I don't think it was like a Tegan Coons thing. I think it's just how it played out. Like if you have a chance for Liam Doyle to be on the mound the last 3 innings of the game, of course, uh anybody with some sense would take that as your option. So yeah, man. But to me, the only reason I say you go all in game two if you're up 1-0 is because we just haven't shown the ability to win on Sundays, man. Like that's just not been our strong suit this year is winning game three. Even look at this regional, Blake. You win games one, you win game two, you lose game three. Like that's just how it has been for Tennessee this season. So to me, it's like the likelihood of you winning game three after Doyle loses in game two. Like if that happens, which I just don't think. Listen, I would not bet on that if you're an Arkansas fan. I just would not bet on that. That is a bad bet to make, dude. We have overwhelming evidence that Liam Doyle is the guy. Like he's the man. And I just don't see him having another bad performance against Arkansas. I just don't. But if it does play out that way, brother, I don't have great confidence that we'll get it done in game three. I just don't. Like to me, this should be our goal. This series should be repeat what you did last time against Arkansas. Start Marcus Phillips game one, have him win game one, and then have your ace, your guy, go get the job done in game two. And if he's off, or if we still need a good relief outing, then I think you go to Arvidsson. I think that's how I would play it. Or AJ Russell. That would be my two options because I think it has to be all chips in game two because I don't think if we lose game two, man, I think we're going to lose game three.
Yeah, there you go again with these predictions, dadgummit.
Well, it's not
Listen, if
my
you're new
official prediction for the series.
sure. I guess that's true. Listen, if any of y'all are new to the program, Austin has some unfortunate negative predictions. So we do
Not
not
just
want
negative. You keep giving me just negative predictions. Some of them have been negative. Some of them
some of
have been positive. Don't forget, I predicted 10-2 this last
true
football season
football season.
when
That's
you
true.
when you predicted like 9-3 or 8-4 or whatever. So it's not all negative, brother.
No, it's just that your negative predictions
Tend to
tend
be
to come
right.
true really, really a high percentage of the time. Regardless, I look. Here's one thing that you did nail this baseball season, which is the game three pitching depth.
Yes,
You've talked about that all season, and I mean, it's just a fact at this point, right? It's a
it's a
fact.
fact.
So I think you are hitting the nail on the head. I mean, do we think with Liam Doyle pitching this past Monday, it seems highly unlikely that he's ready to go by game one, or at least that's going to be the best strategy, especially since we saw. If you get regular Liam Doyle in the regular season
You
series,
win the Arkansas series,
you sweep Arkansas,
no
right?
question.
Or
Or
not
you
necessarily
just win
sweep.
the series 2-1.
You win the series, you lock the series in, 2-1, and so, or at least 2-1, and so because Marcus Phillips got the job done, and so I don't know. It seems pretty likely that that's maybe what we're gonna do again this go around.
Yeah, and this kind of it goes to Psycho Sentinel's point in the chat. He's asking about does Tennessee not have a very good bullpen or much depth? I would say it's kind of hit and miss, man. I would say the bullpen is pretty weak. I would say especially compared to last year. If you're comparing it to last year, it's definitely not as deep as last year's bullpen. But we're talking about Brandon Arvidsson, who's kind of emerged, right? Like he's emerged as an option that we didn't have before. So he's going to be a guy that we heavily rely on going forward, no question about it. Some of the other guys are a little bit more inconsistent. Tanner Franklin, I shouted him out in the regional. He's really good, but he's a guy that you really only want. The reason he comes in for Doyle, Blake, is because you expect to get 7 out of Doyle, and Franklin's really only giving you 1 inning. Like, that's Franklin's game because he's throwing absolute heat, dude. I mean, he's throwing he was up to 101 in the regional performance suit. He was absolutely electric in the regional performance that he came in. So yeah, the bullpen is definitely not. It's not super deep. I wouldn't say it's the worst in college baseball by any means. I think our strength obviously is our starting pitching, like our two starters, like, and people obviously I call out the fan base sometimes for taking advantage of or taking for granted Marcus Phillips, because I don't think our fan base sees Liam Doyle on Friday and thinks that's the norm in college baseball. Newsflash, it's not the norm. Liam Doyle is an elite pitching prospect. Those don't grow on trees. So guys like Marcus Phillips get the job done in most places around the country. So we have really good starters, really a good 1-2 punch, and then our Sunday starter has been kind of up in the air. Like, they've tried AJ Russell, they've tried Tegan Coons. I mean, this is all a factor, right? This is why we're talking about this. It's a factor in this series, Blake. That's why, to me, and we got to do some predictions, right? Like, we like to predict on this podcast. That's our thing. I'm gonna say, Blake, I'm gonna be optimistic, man.
Wait,
This
hold on.
team,
Are you about to release your official prediction for the series?
I'm about to release my official prediction, because just talking through this pitching depth and how I think we should play this series and how the regular season series played out as well, Blake. I think if we're gonna win, and I believe we will, it's gonna be a sweep. And that's not to disrespect Arkansas. I just think that's how the matchup works out. You should feel good if you're Arkansas if you win one of those first 2 games, because if that happens, I think you take the series. But I think our strength is going to be on Saturday and Sunday, and I think we're going to see a motivated Liam Doyle. Which, if you don't think Liam Doyle always looks motivated, man, he always looks fired up, and I think you're going to see even more motivated Liam Doyle. So yeah, man, I think it's going to be 2-0 series sweep in this super regional. That's my official prediction. Wouldn't be surprised at all if it goes the other way, but that's my official prediction on Ball Talk.
Arkansas is absolutely not a pushover team. However, I do think you're absolutely right. Liam Doyle is a competitive guy. He's going to want revenge. And my official prediction, look, I'm going to catch up on the chat here real quick. Blake Bursinger, nice name, by the way. Blake says, talking about me, you seem more like a pessimist. Let's keep the realistic predictions going. Look, bro, I don't know where you're getting that from, okay? Because my official prediction is not pessimism at all. My official prediction is go damn Vols, baby, okay? We're getting back to Omaha. 3rd straight Omaha appearance. Tony V is going to get us back to the mountaintop, to Omaha. I absolutely agree with your prediction, Austin. I think we're going to 2-0 this series. I think Liam Doyle is going to respond. He's going to want revenge. He's going to get that start in game 2. Marcus Phillips is going to get the job done in game 1. And we're going to win 2-0 in Fayetteville.
I love
amongst those yappy Arkansas fans. That's my official prediction. And I think we're headed back to Omaha once again. So again, Blake Bursinger, nice name. No pessimism here. I'm all in on Omaha again, baby.
Love it, man. And you bring up a good point about them Arkansas fans. Listen, dude, I already talked about the target on our back, Blake. We are hated by Arkansas fans, and Arkansas is itching for a national championship in baseball, one of which they have not won, despite being a really good program for so long. And dude, this could be their year, right? This could be their year. It really could be. Like, all the competition that's fallen out of the tournament, Arkansas looks like one of the most talented teams left in the tournament. But man, if the big bad Vols, Tony Vitello, your former coach, rip your heart out once again, dude, that would be devastating for that fan base. I'm just going to let y'all know that I would not put too much into this game, into this series, just because, like, we're fine. Like, we lose this one, it's like, it's cool. We already have the national championship. We went to 5 straight supers. Like, it's fine if we don't win it. But if Arkansas, oh man, Arkansas fan, they're gonna be devastated, dude. They're gonna
It's
be
gonna hurt.
absolutely gutted.
It's gonna hurt them more than it hurts us. Now, again, don't get me wrong, right?
We want to
We
win, but
we want to win, and I'm gonna be look. You're gonna see me not very chipper when we perform our solemn duty to uh get on this podcast and talk about a series lost to Arkansas. Okay, I'm not gonna be happy about it. Don't get it twisted. However, Austin's hitting the nail on the head. If they lose to
yeah, they're
Tony
gonna be
V and
devastated,
they don't
dude.
get to Omaha, they're gonna not be happy. That is for dang sure. Catching up on the chat here real quick. Psycho says that y'all sounding like a lot like FSU right now. He says apparently they've got 3 good starters, an inconsistent bullpen.
And we
Yeah,
don't even have
honestly,
that. We have 2 good starters and
we've
inconsistent
got 2 good
bullpen.
starters and then an inconsistent bullpen. So, but hopefully Arvidsson can maybe bring a little consistency now to this bullpen. We will see. Blake Bursinger, he's not trying to insult me. We've been trying to test. Blake is a buddy of mine. We've been testing out some nicknames. I
He came
actually
up with
suggest.
Doughboy, huh?
No, I suggested Doughboy for myself because we went on a run. Me and Blake went on a run, and I need to get back into running because I was feeling like a doughboy. And then we literally ran on Doughboy Avenue. So I was like, you know what?
Doughboy it
We'll
is.
see. No, we'll work on the nickname. We'll work on the nickname. That is our official predictions, folks. Again, if you're just joining us for the show, we have been going through the Vols' performance so far in the postseason. Austin, we reviewed the regionals and the great performance that we had, especially in that 4th game against Wake Forest. Love to see that 5th straight regional win for Tony Vitale and these Vols. Headed back to the Super Regionals for the 5th year in a row, and now we've got Arkansas. It's going to be a chippy series. It's going to be a
It's
tough
gonna
series.
be so chippy, dude. That's
It's
the
going to
thing.
be chippy.
If you don't, if you're a viewer of the show and you haven't got into college baseball yet, please do it, man. It's not what you think baseball is. Trust me. As someone who wasn't always a baseball fan, college baseball is different, man. It reminds me a lot of college football, dude. It is chippy. Like players are going at each other. It is not. Listen, man. It gets intense out there, and this series is 100% going to be an intense series, Blake, against a team that doesn't like us and we don't like them. So
Absolutely. It's and I think our players are going to want revenge as well because there were some Arkansas players, not just Liam Doyle and his performance, but also there's some Arkansas players that were running their mouths. Right? You got talking about the coach, the Wake Forest coach, who might have released a little extra.
that Arkansas player
The
did the same.
Arkansas player did the same. So it's going to be a chippy series. It's going to be good baseball television, folks.
Oh,
One
no
way or
doubt.
another.
No doubt.
Tune in. It's going to be a good series, one way or the other. Austin, any final thoughts on the Super Regional and this series against Arkansas, potentially getting back to Omaha for us?
No, man, just obviously hope we can do it. I want to keep covering baseball, and this baseball season it's been really fun covering on the channel, and we want to keep it rolling so that we can have stuff to talk about. Because after the baseball season, we need off-season ideas, so we need more content. So hopefully the baseball team can keep rolling, and obviously I want to see the baseball team win more than anything. So
More than
it's
anything, we want to get
GBO,
back.
baby.
GBO. We want to get back to Omaha. Want to see the baseball team win. But Austin is right. It's going to be tough because there's not a ton of news, in July for the football team. Transfer portal stuff has already happened. You don't really get much information from, summer camp and all that. And so it's going to be tough. But hey, look, one way or another, we're going to keep bringing content to y'all, okay? Because this is the Vol Talk podcast. We talk all things volunteer sports, so we're going to continue getting content to you guys. We really appreciate everyone in the chat tonight, honestly. And Austin, we picked up a few subscribers tonight. We really appreciate y'all's support. Psycho here in the chat. Really appreciate you, Psycho, for even though you're not a Vols fan, man, hanging out with
the
us.
Chat alive. I love Psycho, man. Would love to have
keep,
him in the chat every night.
Absolutely, man. We'll welcome Seminole fans, man. Come on in. He says college baseball, you just see the passion and love for the game from the players.
Totally agree.
1,000%. And that's what, honestly, that's what makes baseball America's pastime. Just the passion for the sport, right? So definitely fun sport to watch. Psycho says, good luck to y'all this weekend. Same to you,
Same to
Psycho.
y'all.
Good luck to FSU. That would definitely be good television if we meet FSU again in the College
That
World Series.
rematch
So
would be electric.
it would be. Honestly, I don't really want it to happen. I'd rather
Oh
beat
no, dude.
Arkansas and
No,
then
dude,
have an
because
easy path.
FSU, if you think Arkansas wants to beat us, dude, FSU wants to beat us more than any team wants to beat us. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, Psycho and everyone else, Rhonda, Blake, Bursinger, Herb, really appreciate everyone joining in the chat. Again, we appreciate y'all's support tonight. If you haven't already, look, if you're new to the program, you haven't already, go ahead and give us a subscription. We'd really appreciate it. Give us a like on the video, and drop us, if you come back and you missed some of the live stream tonight and you go back and rewatch the video, we would love for you to do that and drop us a comment. Let us know what you think in the comments of this recording as well, because this recording will be live right after the live stream is over. So go back and rewatch and drop us a comment. We'd really appreciate it. Austin, here is what it looks like. We kind of already talked about it when we answered Herb's question earlier on tonight. For this Arkansas series, we're gonna, if we sweep them on Sunday, we might go live Sunday night, but otherwise we will go live the night after the series ends, right? So if it does go to game 3, ends on Monday, we will go live next Tuesday. We're gonna aim for around the same time, about 7 p.m.
win or
We're still a
lose.
new, yeah, win or lose, exactly. We're still a somewhat new podcast, and so eventually we will get a super set schedule for you guys. But especially right now in baseball season, with things fluctuating, it kind of changes, especially in the postseason. So
Yeah,
we will
especially
be
football
live.
season. We will have a set schedule during football
Exactly.
season. You can count on that.
Exactly. So y'all can join us. Every time we go on a live stream, you can know when the Vol Talk podcast is going to be going live. But for baseball season, we're just riding this wave, baby. So as soon as we beat the Arkansas Razorbacks
Don't
in
give
this
them
super
bulletin
regional,
board material, brother.
listen. Honestly, if we become bulletin board material in a locker room, I'd love
Hey,
that.
we'll take that, and we
Vol,
get
Vol,
plenty of it, dude. Let's be honest.
Vol Talk.
Ole Miss got more than Arkansas did today.
Exactly. So, listen, y'all, we really appreciate you guys joining us for the episode tonight. Again, a lot of fun in the chat. Good episode. We will catch you all after the Arkansas series this weekend. Until then, as always,